Right now it says, I'm looking at the Facebook says, it says broadcast interrupted.
Okay. Um, I think we're back online.
Oh, yep, there we are.
There we are. Okay, perfect. So I think maybe the cool video intro played, but then it glitched out and didn't let us switch to our real selves. So sorry about that, everybody. But hopefully you're here with us live now, and I think we are properly streaming. I'm just going to double check our page and our group one more time because we may have started a second streaming here. But while I check that, Lindsey, we are in fact live, which is great. And we created two videos, but we are on the interview one now. So thanks you guys for joining. So Lindsey, tell us a little bit about yourselves. And I shared a bit of your introduction in my email yesterday, but not everybody who's catching us now will be familiar with who you are and your social enterprise.
Great. Well, I'm Lindsey McCoy, and I am one of the co-founders, along with my sister, of Plaine Products. And our mission is to provide an easy way for people to get great natural products in aluminum bottles, so you can skip the single-use plastic without compromising on quality. So you go to our site and you order what you want to order. We've got shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and we're about to add some new products, which is very exciting. And you order them, they show up at your door, come with a pump. When you're low, a refill bottle comes and you switch the pump over, and then you can send the empty bottles back in the same box that the refills came in for free. We pay for it and we get them back and we clean them, sanitize them, hang on to them, and then send them to be refilled and go back out into the world.
What a simple and wonderful idea. Some of these things you got to wonder, like, why isn't this the way we all do it already?
Yeah, right? It's kind of like bringing back the old milk bottle at the door. I mean, I actually never experienced that, but apparently it was a thing at one time. And when we started looking into this, I was actually surprised that nobody else is doing it at this point.
So you guys are the very first company to provide bathroom products in this way?
As far as I know, we are. I mean, I think we're the very first company that sort of reuses the package in that way, that we pay for you to send it back and then actually reuse the same bottles. Yeah.
Kind of the Netflix of shampoo in a way.
You know what? It's so funny. I described it that way, and then somebody looked at me like I was crazy. I think I think it dates us a little bit that we know that Netflix used to be DVDs that you ordered and then sent back. But yes, yes, you did through the mail. So yes, to me, the Netflix of shampoo makes a ton of sense. But I know that doesn't translate for everybody.
That's fair. That's fair. A little more tangible than streaming shows, how they have it now. So you actually have a really interesting story about what inspired this business. So I'd love to have you share that with everybody who's watching, because I think it points to this idea of when you see something that you wish was different, you actually and your sister took it upon yourselves to make this thing happen, to address a really real need that you saw. So I think it's great to share that. So how did it all get started? What inspired Plaine Products?
Yeah, I was actually living in the Bahamas. My husband is from the Bahamas, and I was involved with a lot of environmental education efforts there. My background's actually in nonprofit management, not in business, and became aware of the fact that we were piling up plastic. In the Bahamas, they don't have the amazing infrastructure we have in the States and in Canada that make things disappear when we're done with them. So you see a lot more of the results of our consumer choices. You see the plastic on the side of the roads, on the beaches, in the water. And it's one of those things, at least for me, once I started to notice it, I started to see it everywhere. Then the studies started coming about there may be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. Just last week, something came out. There's plastic in tap water. I mean, it's crazy, crazy stuff. So I personally started, using reusable water bottles, using reusable grocery bags, and doing some basic steps to have less plastic in my life. But one of the areas where I didn't find an easy solution was the shower. I am a Pinterest craft fail person, so making my own was not a safe option for me. I tried a few like shampoo bars and things, but they just didn't, for whatever reason, work right for my hair. And at the same time, my husband and I were talking about moving back to the States. And so I thought, well, maybe I could solve this for myself. And maybe there are other people who are looking for an easy way to use less plastic and still get, natural, good quality products.
And make it simple and easy, even easier than
yes, I mean,
going to the store.
The goal was, I mean, again, not only am I not good at crafts, but I am the person who, has a stuff by the door that I'm supposed to take with me somewhere, and it still takes me weeks to actually get it there. So, the thought of having shampoo bottles rolling around in the back of my car, who knows how long it would take me to get them from the shower to my car and then to the store to be refilled. So again, solving my own problem, I wanted something that was easy, that came to the door, that then I could just stick the bottles right back in, set them back out, and have them, go back off and feel good and know that they were going to be reused, know that I wasn't contributing to one more plastic bottle in a landfill or ending up in the ocean. But for me, that's just, a reasonable way to do it that felt sustainable.
And so I'm curious, did you and your sister have experience in beauty products or manufacturing shampoo and distribution? Like, you have a pretty, hefty business model in a way to figure out.
We did, and it actually took us almost 2 years to figure it out. Now, I mean, I have a master's in nonprofit management. My sister and her husband do have a small hand German woodworking tools mail order business. So they did have some experience in shipping, which was amazing, but we realized rather quickly that we should not be making shampoo in her garage. So that was not going to be the solution to this problem.
Right.
So we actually spent, as I said, about 2 years trying to find the right bottles, the right products. There's no point in creating this amazing environmental package without natural products to put in it. I mean, again, I didn't know a lot about the industry. I learned that a lot of the mainstream products that I was using have a lot of crazy chemicals in them that are not good for you, not good for your hair. And so we didn't want to do that. We wanted something that was going to be safe and kid friendly. We both are moms. And so we spent the time to find the right product.
Yeah, that's great. And so now you're at that point and you hit a bit of a big milestone because you've gone through a full cycle.
We did. It was very exciting. We got to send back some bottles that had been returned to us to be refilled when we just put in this last order. So it was actually double exciting because both we had gone through our first set of products that we had kind of scraped together money to buy. So we had sold enough to reorder, and we were able to reuse bottles. So it was double excitement.
Your first kind of hit to the plastic bottom line by recycling. Yeah. And so one thing that some of our lab members have been, it's been on their mind recently. We actually did a poll. I was just telling you before we went live about some of the things that are on our Changemakers' minds. And one of the top things that came up is this hurdle when you're in the early stages to get your first customers, your first clients, really, get that first wave of momentum going. Would you be able to share just a little bit about your experience with that phase since you're just over the hurdle of this first cycle and, any tips you might have for some of our people listening?
Yeah. Well, having a nonprofit background, I'm all about partnerships. So we actually took the tack of researching bloggers who had already had followings who were in the green beauty, the vegan, the zero waste, the cruelty-free spheres, kind of specific niches, but that, our product aligned with, and sent them samples and said, hey, would you check this out? If you like it, would you be willing to talk about it? And happily, thus far, they have all liked it and been willing to share it. So that was actually really what we relied on early on to help spread the word. And it's been great for us.
That's fabulous. So strategic partnerships is huge, right? And finding the right fit of people. So it sounds like you guys gave a lot of thought to who would those partners be that actually had audiences that were would be interested in what you guys were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting as we've grown. I mean, we've also tried to work with a few just kind of more general beauty bloggers, and the response has not been the same as people who have kind of already said, I want natural products, or I want vegan products, or I want to use less plastic. Because I think the notion of using less plastic is something that either you've already given some thought to it and it makes sense, or it just kind of maybe flies over some people's head because the response was not the same from people sort of in that general beauty zone. There are a lot of people who sort of was like, I've been looking for you guys. This is so exciting. And then other people just kind of seem confused by why would we do this? So I definitely think researching, as small a niche as possible and as specific to your product as possible is very important.
And really understanding where your customers are at, your ideal people, like, are they already sold on this general idea?
I mean, you only have so much time to sort of catch people, especially these days. And so, we're not going to convince somebody that they should be using less plastic in their life in, one Instagram picture. So we kind of got to already try and find people who are maybe thinking about that or would be sympathetic to that idea, or, already are trying to use less chemicals in their life. So that's an important piece.
So speaking of reducing single-use plastics, one question that came in over the last day since I announced that we were interviewing you today was about straws. So I've met some plastic reduction enthusiasts, social entrepreneurs in the past, and I know that straws were a huge kind of pet peeve of one of the founders. He got really passionate if he ever saw anybody using a straw at a restaurant or that type of thing. But for, some people really do want to use straws. So if they're not going to eliminate straws 100% from their daily lives, do you know, like, what are the best practices about recycling or dealing? So whether it's straws or, there's so many touch points, right? But what should we know as consumers if we are concerned about it, but don't really know what to do or where to get the information? Because, there's a lot online and it's not always clear.
Yeah. Well, let me just say one thing. I am by no means perfect. There is still times when I am running late to soccer practice and my son's forgotten his water bottle and we end up with a plastic single-use water bottle. It happens. I try not to, but I really stress, progress, not perfection. I think some people get caught up in, well, if I can't eliminate it completely, why should I even start? And I think that is the wrong tack to take. I think that every time we're able to make a choice that's not single-use plastic, that's one less bottle that's going to be in a landfill, one less bottle that might end up in an ocean, and that's a good thing.
The small bits add up.
The small bits do add up, and the more you think about it, the more you get in the habit, the more it'll start to spread, and other people will notice. A friend of my sister's just bought a reusable water bottle, and my sister noticed it. She said, "I've been waiting for you to notice. I'm so proud of myself. I've been carrying this new reusable water bottle." So I think that you can impact people without even knowing it, just by making small changes in your life. And so to that point, straws, my son is one of those people who feels that straws are a necessary part of his existence. So he actually bought online a set of stainless steel straws, and I do my best to carry them with me. So we have them when we are out and about, and then there are some in the silverware drawer at home. There are, for those who are more artistic, there are some beautiful glass straws that are out there.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There are bamboo straws out there. So there are lots of options for people who still want to drink with a straw. And it's like everything else. I mean, it requires a little bit more forethought. You got to have it with you. You got to remember to wash it when you get home. But it again becomes a habit, and you help inspire others when you do it, and then you don't have to feel guilty about throwing that straw away, or I don't know if you saw that horrible video with the straw in the turtle's nose that traumatized a generation of children. But it's an easy step to take, and it's kind of a great gateway drug to using less plastic in life.
That is such a good idea. I had no idea that existed, and it's so simple. And I mean, obviously, it's nicer to drink out of something that's solid instead of plastic, no matter what, whatever it is. So, thank you for that tip. That's great. Now, if we get back to your business and your learnings on this journey as a social entrepreneur and trying to achieve this grand mission or be a piece of it, anyways, what has been your biggest challenge so far as, you know, a founder trying to lead this thing?
You know, perseverance for sure. I mean, trying to start a new business, especially one that's, you know, to our knowledge, never been done before, we hit so many roadblocks. Our first set of containers were stainless steel because, you know, stainless steel, it's impenetrable, and they rusted because the quality of steel wasn't great. And so we obviously couldn't use that. So we went back and ended up trying aluminum, which has actually been great. They're lighter. They've been holding up really well, but you know, that was a huge disappointment. It was a very dark time for a little while. But we didn't say, okay, well, we're going to give up. We said, all right, you know, and that has been a great thing about having a partner. You know, my sister and I are incredibly lucky in that we have very complementary personalities and skill sets. And also we have been able to, you know, when one of us is down, sort of pick the other one up, which has been great to have her through all of this.
Yes, that can really get you through the patches, right? If you're on the you're on the big roller coaster together, and yet you can
important to have someone beside you who is experiencing the same emotions. I mean, my husband is great, but he's not in it in the same way that we are in it. So it's important to have someone that understands why you're tearing up at that moment, and you know, help talk you down.
Totally. And so with your experience in nonprofit management and now moving into this area, do you see other entrepreneurs, other social entrepreneurs tripping up in ways? Are there any, you know, are there things that you wish you could go over and say, come on, you guys, like, if you just knew this one thing, this might make a big difference for you. What is your advice to your peers, essentially?
You know, my first boss told me that if you keep telling the story and you tell it well, you just gotta to hang in there until people find you. And so I think that, you know, being able to have the passion about it and communicate that passion, and, you know, be it blog posts, be it social media, be it, you know, great podcasts like yours, and just keep telling that story. You know, it takes time. Yeah. That's a hard thing, I think, about being an entrepreneur, is that, you know, it's as much patience and perseverance as it is anything else. And, you know, on the internet, it takes time to build followers and build, you know, rise up the search engine and have people find you. And that's hard.
Mm-hmm. It is. And I think people can get discouraged if they don't have either a co-founder or a community around them that can help, I guess, keep that inspiration and motivation up. It's so important. And that's, you know, that's one of the main reasons why Solène and I do what we do in the lab and in the association, is because we don't want people with amazing ideas and amazing talents and big visions to give up, you know, because then it's not going to happen. So whatever we can do to support people in that is really important.
I think it's very important for people to talk about, you know, I mean, it took us, I think, you know, a little while, like, for the first person that we didn't know to buy something, and that was a very exciting day. And, you know, we're still growing, and, you know, I think it's important for all of us to be honest about, you know, we're 6 months in and we're still not, you know, big enough, you know, still just the two of us, we can't afford to hire anybody else, you know, to not pretend like it has been an amazing rocket ship ride. I mean, I'm excited about where we are, but, you know, we're still in the slogging, you know, phase of trying to grow up.
Yes, 100%. That's a good point. And that's our hope with this show as well, is to get past kind of the surface. Yay, here's what we've been up to. I mean, that's great. It's great to hear those stories, but we also need to hear when things, you know, maybe aren't as shiny as we'd hoped, because it happens to everybody. So, the more we voice it, the more everyone can feel like, okay, this is normal. It's just a part of the journey, and I'm making progress in a positive direction, and that's what really counts. So thank you for sharing your bits of your story. And I'm curious, do you have any beliefs or views of the world that you think really have helped you get to where you are and overcome, these obstacles and stay in this persevering mode?
I think being generally an optimist helps. I do believe that people will make better choices for themselves and the planet if they are presented with information and opportunities. So I like to think that we are providing, an easy way for people to use less plastic and less chemicals. And our job is to just let them know that it exists. And that's what we're working on doing. So I think that belief that people will choose and not just buying our products, but also choose to use less plastic once they realize that it's causing problems. I think as you said about not knowing the straw alternatives, there's a lot of great products out there that are better, healthier, more sustainable alternatives, like Q-tips. I mean, there was a post the other day about, you can get Q-tips that are all cotton, or you can get the Q-tips with a little plastic middle and the cotton on the end. And there was a picture going around social media with a seahorse wrapped around one of the ones that are plastic.
Oh my goodness.
Terrible. And it's like, oh, well, if you really love Q-tips, just buy the cotton ones that'll biodegrade. Don't buy the plastic ones. That's a simple choice that people can make that it wouldn't necessarily occur to you unless you're thinking about it. But you can still buy Q-tips and you don't have to worry about a seahorse living on it later.
Yeah, totally. And like you said, even like your sister's friend with her water bottle, we can slowly just showcase it and not be perfect all the time, but just slowly make these changes, and then it can ripple out. I remember in university, I learned about the stats, and I don't remember them now, about turning the water off on the tap while you are brushing your teeth and then turning it back on to rinse your toothbrush. And it's such a simple thing that totally makes sense. You brush your teeth hopefully a couple times a day, and that really adds up when everybody starts doing that. And yeah, someone that I mentioned it to was just shocked. They're like, what? I've never thought of doing that. Like, why would I do that? But then you bring it up and it seems so simple. So I think awareness is a big piece.
It's a huge piece. And, being a nonprofit girl, for me, an education and just awareness and starting the conversation is an important part of the business as the product. I mean, obviously we want to sell, and every bottle we sell means one plastic bottle that's not out in the world, which is great. But I also love to have these conversations and hope other people are starting to have conversations and just thinking about all sorts of products that they buy or all sorts of choices that they make. That could be a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more sustainable, less. I mean, our society is I feel like turned this corner to, we expect things to be disposable and easy. And I think, unfortunately, we need to, there was some meme that said, when did it become easier to extract oil from the ground, truck it, mold it into a spoon, sell it, buy it, so you can stir your coffee than just to wash a spoon? It's like, I guess I really could just wash my spoon. I mean, it's, again, those types of thoughts and conversations that you kind of have to step back, because we are also used to grabbing something, using it once and throwing it away. But plastic lasts forever, which is kind of a weird concept.
Yeah, definitely. And so do you guys have a big, hairy, audacious goal for your business and the impact that you want to be creating 5, 10, 20 years down the line?
Yes, of course. You gotta think big. My goal was 10,000 bottles this year. I don't know. We're probably around 4,000 bottles 6 months in, so not too bad. We were gaining steam. I would actually love to see more people doing things like this or thinking about their packaging. I mean, that would be a great impact for me, is almost to see other businesses kind of thinking about their packaging. Somebody asked me if we were trademarking, and I said no. It's an environmentalist, I want people to do it. I don't want there to be any barriers to somebody trying to do something like this.
Right.
So I would love to see that. That would be great for us.
That ripple effect for sure. And so given where you guys are at now, is there any way this community can support, your goals right now or your next steps? Is there, I guess, help spread the word potentially?
Yeah, no, I think helping spread the word, I think, you can visit plaineproducts.com. Plaine with an E. My sister and I share the maiden name of Della Plaine, so that's where we came up with that.
I was going to ask you the question about your name, and then I was on your website and I saw that you explained that, but so that was cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of a play on that, and also, if you hop online and take a look at the bottles, they're kind of plain and simple. So we were sort of going with hopefully a clean, simple look. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of both, but yeah, no, we both love people obviously buying the products, but just starting the conversation or thinking about how in whatever venture people are considering or part of, thinking about ways to integrate that sustainability early on, be it, cardboard boxes instead of plastic bags as packaging, or a way to, reuse something. I think it's, the more people can think about it on the front end as they're designing, the more likely that that business will have that sustainability piece. And I'm hoping that as consumers, we're moving in the direction of looking for more of that in what we buy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you guys have an awesome mission. It sounds like you have a really great business model that's already showing that it's working and gaining more people using your bottles, like new people, and obviously reusing, which is the whole goal. So I'm really excited for where you guys are at and where you're headed. And I'm so glad that you shared your story today too. Yeah, I love that, you saw the need and you guys figured out a way to make a dent in it. So that's what.
Yeah, well, hopefully in a year or two, we can come back and talk again, and I can say, yay, here we are. Are you ready?
Yes, definitely. Let's plan on that. When you guys hit 20,000 bottles, that's a nice growth period. And then we can see everything you learned in that period as well.
I'm sure the list will be long.
Okay, fabulous, Lindsey. I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for being on the show with us. Oh, one last thing. Where can people find you? Yeah, I can put it in the links, but.
Put in the links, and then I know, are you in Canada? I remember there's some sort of connection,
but everybody's all over.
Everybody's all over. We are actually available on Amazon.ca in Canada. That's the only other country where we've managed to get thus far. We are talking about expansion and want to grow, but haven't gotten there yet. So we're available in the U.S. at Plaine with an E, Plaine products.com, and then in Canada on Amazon.ca.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lindsey. We'll put the links in the comments below. And thanks everybody for joining and checking this out, whether you're live with us now or watching the replay. Definitely share this around with your friends or leave a comment. Let Lindsey and I know if you had any aha moments, or if you had other questions that came up as you were watching this episode. And I am going to attempt another techie move here and play an outro video, but we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I will just say goodbye here, plain and simple. And if it does, that's great. But otherwise, everybody who's watching, we hope you stay in touch with us over the next few months for our fall season of the show. We have a bunch of other great social entrepreneurs, Changemakers, and the people who support them lined up to chat with you guys. So we will do that. But for now, Lindsey, thanks so much, and we'll stay in touch, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Danielle. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Of course. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Did you enjoy this episode? Never miss a show by signing up for updates at www.changemakersassociation.com/show, Or if you're on Facebook right now, type the word show in the comments below to get notified directly inside Facebook Messenger before we go live with new guests. Changemakers Show is proudly brought to you by me, Danielle, and my awesome partner, Solène, and our brainchild, Changemakers Association, the place to be to get connected with the knowledge, mentoring, and community support that every changemaker needs to succeed and thrive, creating sustainable impact. We hope to stay connected with you and see you soon.